So this is going to be an overview, and then I'll probably do other videos later on Changeling the Lost, the first edition. A new edition, second edition, will be coming out soon from Onyx Path. This is part of the World Darkness, um, and it takes place in our world. The premise of the story is it's our world with magical creatures in it that are hidden from everyday people, from the people in everyday life. The concept is to give you an idea of the setting. Think one part Brother Grimm's fairy tale, one part Call of Cthulhu, one part Dark City, maybe. Maybe Stranger Things from Netflix, all these kind of things, and then you start to add up what it's like. The idea is fairies are real. They're not really the fairies we think of with little wings. Oh, maybe some of the fae looked like that at one time, but the fae are very fluid. They don't always look the same, and they're always changing. Now, for this overview of this game, I'm going to refer to the Fae, the true Fae, those beings that are the antagonists in this game, as gentry. It's my favorite word for them, though there are many others. So these beings that are very inhuman, they have a habit of stealing people away. They do this because we have that human spark within us. As powerful as the gentry are, they're not human. They can't comprehend things like love. Oh, they can imitate it. They can even go so far as falling in love with mortals, but they're not really in love. Because they can't be in love. They don't understand it as a basic human concept. So, for these reasons, they kidnap humans and bring them back to Arcadia. While you are in Arcadia, the place is so strange and the energies are so destructive to the human body that you take on Fey qualities. You become a changeling. You're part human, part Fey. So you're in Arcadia, and your situation could be almost any possibility you can imagine. Maybe you are a slave who lives in a kennel as a dog, or a dog man, or something like that. Or maybe you are living in the house of the gentry and you are not serving him, you're his lover. But make no mistake about it. No matter how good or how bad you have it, you are a prisoner. You cannot leave. You're not allowed to. Or if you are allowed to, you're on a short leash. You are the gentry's. So eventually, some people take to that like ducks to water and stay. Most do. But a lot don't. They want to leave. They want to go back to Earth, where they had a normal life. The joke is, though, you'll never be normal because you are now a changeling. Nothing can change that. You will never become fully human again. But you don't know this. So you escape. Or maybe you didn't escape. Maybe you won your freedom through a game of chance by the gentry. No matter how powerful they are, the gentry have to keep to their word. It's a weakness of theirs. It's an Achilles heel. Either way, though, you find your way back to Earth. Oh, and you've been living in Arcadia, the realm of the Fae. To get to Earth, you have to go through the hedge. What does the hedge look like? What it's like? The book goes into this in great detail, but it changes. It's kind of depending on the viewer in a way. So you get back to Earth, but guess what? Time in Arcadia might not have been the same. Or maybe it was. Maybe you were gone for 5 hours and you came back 5 hours later. Or maybe you left for 5 hours and you come back and it's 30 years later. Or vice versa. You've been gone for 30 years in Arcadia and you came back and it's only been 2 minutes. Either way, life has gone on one way or the other. But guess what? You weren't really missed, because when they took you, the gentry took a bit of your shadow, which is an allegory for your soul, and they put it into a puppet, a little automaton, made out of whatever materials he may have at the time. And they get very interesting what materials they use. And it looked like, and it was magically put together, and it looks like you, it sounds like you, but it's not you. It doesn't really, well, it has a little bit of soul in it, but it's just not as emotional as you were, even if you were an unemotional person to begin with. So while you were in Arcadia, your fetch was working your job, he was fucking your wife, he was sucking your kids into bed, and he was doing all this, and nobody, well, maybe some people suspected things, but he did a pretty good job while you were gone. So now you have a dilemma. What do? Do you forget that life completely, move to another city, or do you kill your fetch and take your place again? But how can you take your place when so much has happened? This is one storyline. This is one thing that your character has to figure out. Another thing is Changeling Society. Changeling Society is divided up between courts: spring, summer, winter, and fall. And these courts are, at least theoretically, made to, because the Fae, the gentry, are unchanging, you have to be changing constantly from season to season to keep them on their toes, to keep them at bay. So, like any human, now changeling infused institution, there are times when they fight together, and it's times when they fight against each other. And another level of this is the things called entitlements. These are noble orders that are backed by a thing called the Weird. The Weird is kind of like Star Wars, the Force, but it's Fae. It's a Fae force that permeates anything of fairy, anything of Arcadia. And so these noble orders are backed by the Weird. So let's say you are a member of the Bishops of Blackbirds. As you are a member and as you gain higher status within the Bishops of Blackbirds, you become more bird-like. It's reflected in your physical body, or in your mannerisms, or any number of things. So these are social things that, and then of course there are other supernatural creatures that you must deal with: vampires and werewolves and wizards and things like that. And also as a changeling, you are partly like the gentry. And the gentry at the beginning of time made deals with all of creation. You let me do this, and I will give you some glamour. Glamour is this fuel, this thing that fuels anything Fae. It is the wonderment. It is the strong, raw emotions of humans. So with glamour, you can fuel your cantrips, your Fey powers. These cantrips range from the elements, from the 4 seasons. In fact, those are seasonal contracts. They're called contracts as a whole, and cantrip is the individual. Or they can be very specific to what you are. Changelings are divided into seemings. These are very generalized. Almost, I don't want to say race, but it's kind of like a race. And they're also divided between kiths. In other words, a kith is basically, what role did you fulfill while you were in Arcadia? I won't go into what those are. It's just too much. Those will be a separate thing. So, all good and done. Oh, and also, when you come back, no one knows you're a changeling, even if you are totally changed by your time in Arcadia, because there's something called the mask. The mask is some kind of defense device that's innate. You cannot control the mask. It's always there. But it makes everything Fey look mundane to regular eyes. Humans see you as a human. They don't see you as the clockwork man who's got a heart that's ticking, and when it goes off, and at noon it goes off with a whistle. They don't see or hear that. It's covered by the mask. But that mask can be dropped. It's hard, but it can be done. But you don't want to do it. And you don't want humans to see what you do. And you don't want to tell humans what you are, because that draws the attention of the gentry. They took you once, they can take you again. And so, in many ways, a lot of people will say, oh God, this game is so depressing. Oh, this game is about being a slave. I don't want to play this game. It is those things, but it's so much more. Depending on how you play this game, this can be a very lighthearted game, actually. I've had people play this game where we would just freaking laugh every episode of this game because of the way it was played. It really depends on you. I will go into... The rules are very simple compared to a lot of the other RPG games. It's the setting that is just so daunting for people to really, you have your D&D players, like I think of Pathfinder and 3.5 Dungeons and Dragons players, where they had a lot of rules. Not just a lot of rules, but a lot of variations. I mean, a lot. As many variations that setting as this game has, it's nothing compared to Pathfinder. But you know what? Oddly enough, I get a lot of Pathfinder players and D&D 5th edition players, and they can't wrap themselves around this. They just can't get this, even though the rules are simple, because now they have to think about what their character is. A lot of times D&D players will go, well, I'm a thief. Yeah, whatever. Yeah, I steal shit. That's it. That's all I am. That's all I need to know. Oh, my parents were killed. Yeah, I'm an orphan. I'm just a murder hobo. You can't do that in this game. This game demands that you create a rich character, a story-driven character. Now, oddly enough, while it is a story-driven game, it can become very D&D-like. There are fights. There is intrigue. There's riddles to be solved. Yada yada. So, like I was talking earlier, or maybe I wasn't. This is Changeling of Lost First Edition. Second edition will be coming out soon. This is part of the World Darkness. Changeling of the Lost Second Edition will be part of Chronicles of Darkness. Chronicles of Darkness has gone kind of I think, in the wrong direction. I like some of the things that they've done with it, but it's becoming too rule heavy for my taste. I'll probably be, well, I actually did it with Vampire Requiem. I basically combine aspects of Vampire the Masquerade and Vampire the Requiem editions 1 and 2 to make my own kind of homebrew game. I'll probably be doing that with, I don't know, or maybe I'll just be adapting some of the newer rules into the old game. Because I really like the setting just as it is here. Really. But I strongly suggest this game. I've ran so many role-playing games throughout my 30 years of role-playing, 30-some years, and by far, this is the best. Because this game, you can be whatever the fuck you want. You want to be a vampire-like character? Be an ogre that gristle grinder. You want to play a werewolf-type character? Be a beast. You want to play an alien? You know, a little green man? Be a wizard. It's all in here. And because when you are in Arcadia, the reality can be anything. So you could have been in Arcadia, you could be a drop of water in a vast ocean. Or a thunderbolt lightning of thunderbolt that kept hitting the ground day after day. Or maybe you were a bird that soared in the heavens. Or a unicorn. Or maybe you were you were you. But now you have long tapering ears and you're very beautiful. And it's whatever character you want to play. How can you go wrong with that?